for Turks, obviously, was much more. In fact, right after the signatures were put on the paper, the Turks were expecting to make statements that we will not sign in full unless Karabakh issue was resolved. But Clinton and others, last minute ditch, came up to the conclusion that there will be no such statements from either party. So it was frozen on that level, which is dead already.
You had a question yet. Diaspora and the...
Sorry?
Who should pursue
Who should the...
Oh, I see. Well, I think you can pursue this matter. Not only Armenians can pursue. This matter can be pursued at different levels. At NG, non-governmental level, like ARPA, like HOME, like APS, and people can come up and rally with other human rights organizations and promote this. This is a human issue. This is a human rights issue. Armenia, of course, is being a state, has a different level of entering the scene, hopefully enlisting on its side its allies. But how can it enlist allies? I mean, we have nothing to offer to allies in terms of economy, in terms of, strategic location, geopolitical consideration. We don't have those kind of amenities to offer to Russia or US or Great Britain. So, I think this situation, this pursuit should be continued at all levels. At all levels. And at one point they may converge. You and I may not see that day, but that's going to happen.
You had a question.
If Turkey did hold a trial for the perpetrators of the genocide, and they did find them guilty and sentence them, and there's a record of this, how can they deny today? How does that happen?
That's what it is, yes. They did it, they can. I mean, we have records that there was a race extermination, and our foreign minister, our Secretary of State, Lansing, authorized Morgenthau to protest Turkey for the race extermination. This is, we have some of this. 1916. 1915, May 24, Russia, Tsarist Russia, France, and Great Britain issued a joint declaration qualifying the extermination of Armenians as crimes against humanity. The word crimes against humanity was coined in 1916 on the eve of the Armenian massacres. Now, you ask the question, why can now deny? And this is fact, these are facts.
But it's in their records.
Absolutely.
It's in their records.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, please.
Sometimes we blame Turkey, or Europeans blame Turkey because of Article 301, that there is no free speech there. The same thing is in Europe. You cannot say that Holocaust did not happen. So it's the same thing, whether it's in Turkey or it's in Europe, there is no free speech.
No, actually, that's the opposite. Because if in France you say the Armenian genocide didn't happen, you go to jail.
Well, that's against free speech.
I'm sorry?
It's against free speech.
Well, because they are saying if you want to go against the genocide, you have to come up against this mountain of evidence. And if you can overcome this evidence, we are with you. So far, I am not aware of someone came up with any evidence to refute the facts.
As an answer to the question that this gentleman asked, the Turks claim that, of course, there were trials and so on in 1919, 1920, but this was done under coercion because Istanbul, Constantinople was being occupied by the Allies at the time, and that's the answer that they are giving, so that you know the answer. And they had no choice but go through these farce trials, they would call it, in order to please the British and the French that were occupying their land. So that's the answer for that question.
Yeah.
All right. There are a couple of questions asking you why is it or how they can get away with certain things. And one of the gentlemen here also asked the same question, and Harold also. You see, I think the problem is that we should have recognized decades ago, especially people with certain financial means, that the power in the United States is mass media. And if you look at the major TV stations today, you can hardly find any TV station which is under Armenian control or belongs to Armenia. Certain ethnic groups, I don't want to be specific, have so much power in this country because mass media, major TV channels, maybe major radio channels, they belong to certain ethnic groups. And I'm dreaming about the day that finally Armenians which have means and Armenian organizations which have means to acquire certain channels, they will finally start doing this. After that, every such fact could be blown out of the proportion and the public conscience couldn't be impacted and the senators and congressmen would start listening. How come that until now, we as a community, we're not able to understand that?
Our communities celebrate April 24th in one person. 100,000 people are mobilized. April 25th, we're gone. That's it. That's the answer. We do not have, we remain claimants of those lands. We do not have a dossier prepared to say that those were our lands, these are our deeds, those are the evidence. We have nothing prepared like that. And we keep taking pictures, photo opportunity with the congressman, and with this and that. It's a waste of time. We don't have an organized, efficient way of pursuing this case. That's the answer.
Who is we?
Armenians. All
Diaspora.
Diaspora, and Armenia now started to have one genocide museum. Haik Demoyan seems to be a person who is rather pursuing effectively, collecting a lot of materials and so forth. Something that you can rely on. It's talking about the Armenian sports organization in the Ottoman Empire. In the denial structure, you know, in the denial structure, Turkey is after erasing the memory of the Armenians. Because memory and identity are inextricably linked together. And if you destroy the collective memory, you are destroying the national identity. And this is what they are after. By now, with the Armenian genocide and collection of materials and books and so forth and so on, we are getting something to show to the world. If we go here to our Armenian organizations, we can show pictures, we can show grievance and emotions, but we have nothing prepared as a dossier to say, this is what we have. We don't have.
You had a question?
Me? Yeah. You mentioned you started this scholarship or research in 1980s?
Which, I'm sorry?
Your research.
Your research. When,
Oh, yes, yes.
have you also inquired as to, before you, has anybody done such a scholarship? Or has anybody else?
On this
entity,
issue, no.
Not just this issue, in general, as to what happened to our wealth or to...
There is a work by Georg Baljan, who died some 10 years ago in Canada. He wrote a book in French. He talks about, you know, a variety of thefts taking place. But he falls short of providing references and so forth. So the book is a labor of love and emotion that's useful, but that's outside that there's nothing. Unfortunately, there is not much done on this issue.
To find those type of stuff, where do you go? How do you do research?
We go to archival research.
Where?
Archival research. And the archival research in the United States archives is very important. However, it's unfortunate that there is a deliberate action